All right, Carolina just won the cup, so why are they about to blow up the team that just did it? If you're a Caniac like me, you've been watching this Hellebuyck trade rumor with probably an eyebrow raised because on the surface, it doesn't make sense. You don't tear apart a championship roster, you protect it, you tweak the margins, you run it back, right? But Carolina is doing the exact opposite. They're aggressively pursuing this blockbuster trade with a 33-year-old goaltender, giving up a young defenseman who just finished seventh in the Calder voting, and they're attaching a first round pick to sweeten the deal. This is not how championship teams behave. So, what does the front office see that the rest of us don't right now? All right, so I think to understand the move, you have to look at the massive hole opening up on July 1st. Frederick Anderson, our proven starter in net, crushed it in the first two rounds. He's hitting unrestricted free agency. So that's going to leave the Hurricanes with two younger options. We know who they are behind one of the best defensive structures in the league. We got Kochekov and we've got Bussy. All right. Now, don't get me wrong, both of these guys are pretty talented, but if we're just relying on high variance young goalies behind a championship defense, it is going to be a precarious strategy. One badly timed slump, April, May, the other guy can't pick it up, and the title defense is over before the second round even starts next year. So I get it. Carolina's management sees that vulnerability. They're willing to pay an enormous premium right now to make sure it never becomes a problem. So on paper, Hellebuyck, he's exactly the kind of guarantee that they're looking for. Their guy's resume is absolutely ridiculous. You know that. He's got, goalie trophies, former NHL MVP, one of the most decorated goaltenders of this generation. And he's reportedly unhappy in Winnipeg. So, they finished outside the playoff picture for last season for the first time since 2022. So if you take this high caliber goalie, put him behind the league's best defense, best defensive core, I get it. That's a nightmare matchup for the rest of the NHL. But I think it's more complicated than that. The first version of Hellebuyck, the one that played last season, that was not the same Hellebuyck. His goal saved above expected plummeted last year, and it was not a small dip. It was a cliff. So scouts have a serious problem. Did Hellebuyck struggle because the Jets' defense structure broke down in front of him, or is this just natural physical regression of a 33-year-old goalie with a lot of mileage on the tires that the Hurricanes could inherit? So nobody knows the answer to that. And if you're adding a level of uncertainty to a championship roster, that's the difference between an aggressive move, massive, unpredictable gamble, right? You want to throw uncertainty into a championship roster. So to take that gamble, Carolina also has to accept some severe constraints. Hellebuyck has an $8.5 million cap hit that will consume a huge block of our available spending all the way till 2031, I think. That's 6 seasons. Then there's the human cost. The offers reportedly include Alexander Nikishin, 24-year-old defenseman, just put up 33 points, finished seventh in the Calder Cup voting. The kid is a rising star. We know that. He could be anchoring the blue line for the next decade in Carolina. So add the first round pick on top of that, and Carolina is giving up three things at once: rising young star, premium draft capital, massive cap flexibility, all to bring in a 33-year-old who may or may not still be elite. So if this trade happens, Carolina is shifting away from the sustainable long-term build that got them here, and they're concentrating their entire competitive window into the next 3 seasons. So if the front office is right and Hellebuyck bounces back to MVP form, Hurricanes become virtually unbeatable. We like that. We're talking maybe even a multi-year dynasty. And that kind of run does define an era in the NHL. But buying into that scenario requires ignoring every statistical red flag from last season and accepting the financial weight that's going to come with that decision. So if Hellebuyck continues to decline at his current rate, Carolina's trapped. We'll be carrying an unmovable, expensive contract while getting sub replacement level goaltending. Meanwhile, Alexander Nikishin will be anchoring the blue line for another franchise, entering his prime, while we're stuck in the dead cap space and no draft capital to fix it. So, my thought: Carolina spent 20 years building this roster the right way. Patient, smart, sustainable. They drafted well, developed their own talent, didn't chase shiny names, and it worked, and they won a cup. Now they're about to bet it all on a 33-year-old who's already shown signs of decline. Either they're about to start a dynasty or they just made the most expensive mistake in the entire franchise history. All right. So, what do you think? Carolina making the smart move to lock in another cup run, or are we about to mortgage the next decade for one big swing on a goalie? Tell me in the comments below. If you're a Caniac like me, hit subscribe so we can keep breaking this stuff down together. Catch you in the next one.